Get to know the real estate ecosystem at Real-Estate.Channel, your go to podcast for unfiltered stories from the people shaping the real estate market. You don't need to start in real estate as a salesperson to succeed. You need transferable skills, responsibilities, and system thinking. As promised, we will stay true to the idea of this podcast name, where we will be bringing you a variety of guest speakers from different verticals of real estate. And today's episode explores a side of real estate that doesn't get enough attention, which is operations, safety, and systems. Our guest today is Monique Yonely, brings a unique combination of experience as a facility operations supervisor, an OSHA 30 certified professional, and a licensed New Jersey realtor. Her background spans architecture, construction management, safety, education, and now real estate, giving her a perspective that goes far beyond transactions. Today, we are talking about how behind the scenes skills shape better decisions, stronger accountability, and more responsible real estate practices. Hi, Monique. Very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay, Monique. So, your background span architecture, construction management, safety, and education. What led you to real estate? Can you start from the very beginning?
So I have always had an interest in real estate from like a really young age. My mom used to bring us on like house tours and whatnot throughout New Jersey or down in Georgia, where we eventually bought a house back in 2019. I had a lot of different experiences and different houses growing up, not because like, my living situation was off, but just because I knew a lot of people. Like with my grandparents, my grandma had cousins down in Virginia, and they had a lot of property and multiple houses on that property. So kind of like always spending time down there, like in the summers, that kind of, I guess, heightened my interest for real estate and architecture. But I didn't really understand architecture fully, probably until I was in high school.
Got it. And how did your operational background influence how you approached getting licensed?
So I actually was licensed before I went into operations. That was something that I wanted. I wanted to get my real estate license as soon as I graduated from college. In between that, phase of trying to find a job, but that was always kind of part of my plan. And I know you don't have to like have a college degree or anything to get your license, but it was more of just like I wanted to, pay for like the classes myself and kind of like do everything. Like my first like big girl project, I guess, on my own was to get my real estate license. And that took me a good year to complete, and then 4 tries of taking my exam, but it happened and I passed, yay. And then when it came to operations, I was introduced to Lifetime by a really close friend that I used to work with when we were teenagers. And when I got into that job, I was thinking of leaving education because it wasn't something that I was really going for long term. But I think once I got the hang of doing everything at Lifetime, I was like, okay, well, it's fun to solve building problems. And I think real estate kind of just let me do it a little bit earlier in the process. And I think Lifetime gives me a chance to explore those kind of like building issues and resolutions on a more public and like commercial like realm of things.
Got it. Okay, so Monique, at what age you have started working?
I started babysitting when I was like 14. I started working like more like with like people and like in the public when I was 15.
Like, why so soon? Like, was there any, please don't mind me asking, was there
Yeah.
any financial issue, something like that, or you wanted to
Um,
just be independent?
it was a little bit of both. So, I am the product of a single mother. My dad is still very much involved in my life, but she was working a lot. So my whole thing is I've always had my nails done, like since I was maybe like 12, and my mom stopped going to get her nails done because her schedule got busy. And I'm like, well, I want to pay for that myself. So I started working. Neither of my parents really knew I had a job. Like the first 2 months I had a job because they wanted me to focus on school and extracurriculars and all that stuff. But yeah, my first job was like right next to my high school, and I still have really great relationships with the people there. And they taught me a lot of the skills like with sales and whatnot that I try to.
They did?
Yeah, my first job was honestly a great job to have. Like it had its up and downs like every job, but it taught me a lot about, not just like dealing with consumers, but kind of just like business and like the back end of things. And I think that's kind of why I'm so like interested with operations. Yeah, operations and systems, it goes into everything in life. It doesn't really matter what field you go into.
Agree to that completely. So, Monique, what surprised you most about the real estate world once you entered this industry?
Um, there's a lot to do with like prevention. So like obviously like all the legal paperwork that's required, and definitely kind of the domino effect of not just like having a transaction close, but also constantly pouring into your buckets. So constantly keeping up with people and, just like being a community figure. And like with the coaching job that I have now, it's a lot easier than it was when I first started real estate because I am, out and about all the time. But yeah, definitely like not the lack of, but maybe more of like the prevention aspect. Like you don't want to rub people the wrong way, and you don't want to lead anybody down a path that they're kind of like, I don't really understand A, B, and C part of this, but it's like the biggest transaction I'll have in my life. So clarity, making sure that there's clarity, and yeah, prevention, making sure nobody is wronged in any way, whether it's, a buyer, a seller, a landlord, a tenant, or an attorney.
Yeah, got it. So, do you think people underestimate how many skills outside of sales are actually needed in real estate?
Yeah, because I think, nowadays people have forgotten how to be people. um, it's
True.
uh
Yeah.
it's it goes back to like what I was saying before, like the first question that somebody asked me after they haven't seen me in a while is, have you sold any houses yet? And it's really not all about that. I think people forget that like realtors are supposed to make their communities better places for everybody, not just their pockets. And it's the same thing with like local politicians and like, just local figureheads that like have major influence, who's in the community and how they feel and how they operate. So I think that's something that's a little forgotten about the industry in all.
And as a facility operation supervisor, safety and accountability are critical. How does that mindset translates into real estate?
Every decision that you make has a downstream impact, whether it's financially, functionally, like when it comes to like operations, like throughout the day, legally, or like even like personally, like with relationships and like yourself. So I think, I had an instance a few days ago where I kind of had to take accountability with a team member. And that's like more like on the personal level where it's like, yes, like we're in a very like, professional environment, professional, but the way that we both, conduct ourselves on a personal level, that is all obviously going to cross, working with a team. So you have to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, personally, I understand how I am and I understand how you are, but professionally, we need to get A, B, and C done. So coming to that, accountability mindset and collective mindset really helps with that as well.
The years of experiences that you have invested in work life truly shows itself in the way you communicate or you deliver yourself.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
if something is not happening right now, it will surely happen in the near future.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Okay, just for our listeners, Monique, would you tell me us that facility operations supervisor working at Lifetime, right? What does that job responsibility looks like?
It looks hectic, but it's actually really fun once, all the different aspects of the job come together. So with Lifetime, it's a luxury brand. And I think that, just in the name alone, it's like there's a expectation that comes with that. So my job specifically is I open the building most days. We open at 4 a.m. every day, except for Saturdays and Sundays. We open at 5. My job is to make sure that the building is set for the day. So we have the washing and drying room, like the laundry room, the back end of things, making sure that the washers are going, the dryers are going, and there's things for people to come in and fold. The locker rooms are functional, clean, things are put away, tucked away. There's amenities available for our members, making sure that, there's no alarms going off in the building. If there are, I have to make sure that there's nothing actually wrong and turn them off, reset, along with kind of communicating with our vendors. So say like with the snow and everything, I have the responsibility of, hitting up our plow guy and saying, hey, can you get somebody out here, please? Because we don't want anybody to slip, fall, or trip on the ice outside. Again, like we want to provide like a positive experience for our members. So That's a big thing. I work in 2 departments officially at Lifetime. So I work in member concierge and I also work in operations. So with member concierge along with operations, just having, that member interaction is really important. And because of the connections that I have within the community, some of the regulars from my first job are also members at Lifetime. So it's kind of like the cute little crossover episode of being able to still have that like little touch of community anywhere I work within, the vicinity. And I also have like some of like my students' parents, they come there, former students from when I used to, when I was a preschool teacher. So it's really great. I think that the whole operations part of it is definitely heavier throughout the day than it is the member concierge because it's kind of like built into the expectation of working there. Like you have to make sure that, your members feel comfortable to talk to you or come to you if something's wrong or if they need help with anything. But yeah, I also act as kind of like a liaison between all of the departments. So there's Kids Academy, spa, cafe, operations, member concierge, and then the personal training department. So kind of getting all of the managers to communicate effectively, that's also part of my job description.
Beautiful. Don't you get tired?
Yeah. So
I mean,
somebody asked me last week, like, do you ever stop? And it's like, yeah, I do. But yeah, I get tired, but I'm also kind of like, this is kind of like part of like the answered prayers. Like these are things that like I wanted. So it's like
right.
I don't want to like, be and moan and be like, oh my God, like if like the worst thing that I could be is tired, like that's bed. Like I'm okay with that. Like it's okay. Like I'll get over it at some point.
Now, this thing leads me to my next thing. Like, where do you want to see yourself in upcoming years? Like 5 years down the lines or 2 years down the lines? Because with the
Yeah.
speed that you are moving,
So it's really awesome because I've taken a moment to be like, okay, like you're in the second part of your 20s now. Like, what are you going to hone in on? The big picture idea is to, be able to buy my own properties and hire subcontractors to restore or flip these properties and then sell them myself. Just like investment, obviously, properties. That's just always something I wanted to do. But at the same token, I've never seen myself with only one job. Like even like when I was younger, like my mom would ask me like, "What do you want to do?" Like it was never like I want to be an astronaut and that is the only thing or like a neuroscientist. Like it was never a one single answer.
so it's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy exercising my right to agency. Like I can just choose whatever I want to do and build upon that. So, yeah.
Okay, so as a agent, what risks do agents often overlook when it comes to properties inspections or disclosures? Like this is the agent side of the question.
Oh, okay. So definitely
Mm-hmm.
documentation. Gaps in documentation. I've had some like silly moments myself where I've kind of just been like, okay, you probably should put like the date on things. Like you've done that forever. Making assumptions, definitely. I've heard horror stories about people making assumptions about property lines or, what is it? Like things that
Did you just said horror stories?
yeah, like little horror stories, like, like agent horror stories where they're like, oh, like this and this happened to me because I made the assumption that, the homeowner would leave a chandelier in the dining room. And then we got the keys and we got to the house and there were no chandeliers or something. Like just making assumptions like that, which is, I don't know. There are worse things that could happen in life, obviously, but for a first time home buyer or somebody trying to invest in a property, I would be like, oh my God, a chandelier is missing. Like another expense I have to put out for. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Assumptions for sure.
Got it. And tell us more about the OSHA 30 certification. What is this for and why someone should consider doing it? And how does this OSHA style thinking, documentation, process, prevention apply to transactions?
So my OSHA 30 certification, I started gaining an interest for safety in like my sophomore year of college. And, OSHA, they are the workplace safety organization. So they train you to
Safety in
spot
terms of
occupational safety at work. So yeah, they I don't know if you've ever seen like the big OSHA posters, but like if you go like in the back room of any like office or any like a place like Lifetime, we have it up. It kind of just lays out your rights as a worker. So they train us to spot hazards on like a job site or just like within any industry really, and how they can become incidents and like the mindset that applies, everywhere, that safety mindset. So going back to like preventative thinking, I think I definitely have that skill from not just my certification, but from the mindset of continuous improvement. So when it comes to safety, it's like, okay, like, yes, this has never caused an accident or harm before, but how can it and how can we prepare for it so that it won't ever happen? And in the event that it does, what can we do to follow up? So when it comes to like the OSHA style thinking in transactions, again, that goes back to like documenting everything. I've just like recently, like I had like a referral come through. So I've just like taken like my steno book and like written down like, okay, like today I spoke to so-and-so for however long and we spoke about A, B, and C. Like, okay, put that in the notes. It's on paper and it's on digital now. So it's like, okay, that's what happened. Bada bing, bada boom. And then like that kind of just comes back to you too. So it's just like, okay, like nobody can say like, well, they can say like, okay, you did A, B, and C, but then like you can go back to your notes and be like, actually, like these are my, like this is like my
Hmm.
Bible. This is my Bible, my daily notes of every day of what I do. And that also just goes back to accountability. So, and safety. Yeah. When it comes to OSHA, I think OSHA is in everything. And it's not just about like keeping yourself safe. It's about keeping like people around you safe. So bringing it back to even like operations, like in lifetime, like pooling water, somebody can slip and fall on that. So we have to, one, make sure there's a wet floor sign and clean up the water, but also, secure the area and make sure everybody is aware that, yes, there was wet water and wet floor here, but now it is good, but proceed with caution. So, yeah.
I'll definitely research more on it after our call because what you have just said intrigued me in
Yeah.
learning more
Right.
about it.
Yeah, there's like all these different topics too. Like it's not just with like, like there's electricity, obviously. There's confined spaces, there's trenches, there's concrete, masonry, like all these different categories where of construction where like, things obviously there's risk in everything that you do. So you kind of have to understand that and how to mitigate those risks and keep people safe.
So, Monique, can you tell me that is this OSHA 30 certification important for everybody to take? Like, what is your suggestion on it? Like, everybody, like a realtor or an agent or a broker, should must have this knowledge with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important for people to understand like the basics. Like even if they don't want to get their OSHA 30, it's 30 hours of learning. But if you get like your OSHA 10 too, just to understand like, hey, like little things too, like there's code along with OSHA as well. So it's just like when it comes to little things, like, okay, like I remember one time my friends had asked me before they were ready to start like their home buying process, like we just want to go to this open house, like no exclusive buyer agreement or anything. And I'm like, okay, like I'll put my friend hat on and let's go. And, they just had a baby at that time. And like, she's only 18 months now, but she was a lot younger then. And I just remember, I guess we were going down these stairs and it's just like I was like, there's something wrong with these stairs. Like the treads and like the runners, it's just not correct. Like there's no way that this is like legal.
Hmm.
And then we found out, like, later down the line that the owner had actually, they did their own little thing, their little patch up job down there. So it wasn't the safest, like whatever, like they did, but noticing things like that, like, hey, like you have a child, you want to expand your family that obviously has money involved in that. Like, do you want to put so much money into fixing somebody else's patch job? So I think it matters. I think it matters in spotting like little tiny, like even like finishes with structural stuff, like and like little systems and circuit breakers, like things like that. Like it matters. It does matter.
Got it. So, do you feel your background makes you more cautious or more confident or both?
A little bit of both. I would say a little bit of both. I think caution kind of can create confidence. Like when you know what to look out for, you can make better decisions. Like my mom always says, like people can't make decisions without information. So it's like the more that you know, like, yes, you can proceed with caution, but you can have more confidence in the choices that you make.
Totally. Okay. So, with your construction and architectural education, how do you evaluate homes differently?
Okay. So I think I look kind of more to like structural things, and systems like what I said, like about the whole like circuit breaker things. But also there was one instance I had gone with my friend to like an estate sale and whatnot. So obviously like this house wasn't really on the market yet. They were just like getting things ready. And I never really went to estate sales to like shop around. It's always to look at the house, always. I don't have as much time to do that now, but when I would go in college, especially, we went down again in another basement. It's always in the basement. And there was like I guess like a structural beam, like you could say it was a structural beam, but it was kind of like pushing like in like at the bottom, you could see that it was like caving into the foundation of the house. So I was like, "Oh, this is terrifying." But yeah, I think again, like that's really kind of how I evaluate houses differently. Like yes, like they're so pretty, but it's always like the pretty like modern houses that always have like something like a little off with them. Whether it's the plumbing, like the electricity. I don't like I guess like the way I evaluate homes is different for the plain fact that like I don't like modern architecture very much. Like even like okay, take like fast food places. Like not even like it's not a home, but fast food places have become very bougie looking. But why? Because it's like your purpose isn't to be like, oh, like look how pretty we are. You serve fast food. So it's just like it's not supposed to be like this like luxury experience. If you wanted a luxury experience, you go to like Morton's or like, Grand Lux Cafe or something. Like you don't go to Wendy's and you're like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful this like stucco design is on the, like it was never supposed to be like that. And the same thing I think like with houses now, it's a lot of like cut and paste, copy and paste. I love houses with shutters. I don't like big square windows and it's just like a box and another box next to a box. So yeah, I think like, uniqueness is definitely something that I look for when I am evaluating houses, but never for myself, just like for other people.
Very well noted. How do you explain technical or safety concerns to clients in a way that doesn't overwhelm them?
I try to like translate like the risk into the impact. So like cost, going back to safety and then like future headaches. So in the instance like with my friends, like again, like they are first time parents, first time home buyers for not like first time dog owners, but like jointly together, yes. So I kind of factor their pre-existing stressors already and try not to add to that. So yeah.
Got it. And do clients respond differently when you approach real estate from an operational perspective?
The clients that I've had, I think so. I think that they, again, like first time home buyers, it's a scary process. Even like, like everyone's
Yeah.
parents has, bought a home. Well, most people's parents around here have bought a home. But again, that process isn't really always explained to you growing up. And even now, like I think some of my friends, not even the ones that I'm just helping, just like in general, like they have people around them who have a lot of generational wealth and they're not, I don't think they really understood that until they got to this point in their life where they're kind of like, oh, like, okay, like, yes, like other people have people to help them, but I kind of still need to take that accountability to teach myself how to go through this process because not every real estate agent can or will hold their client's hand, which I can't even imagine because I think hand-holding through a process like this is necessary regardless of whether or not you think your client is capable of
So you do
understanding.
handhold them?
Yeah, because I have to handhold myself. Like I can't sit here and say that I understand every single part of a real estate transaction. There are still things that I'm learning that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, wow. When we sold our house in Park Ridge, like I was with my mom through a lot of the, little meetings with our real estate agent who was a trusted friend, family friend. So even like an understanding like the whole commission split and like how she was supposed to like market our property and like all of these things and like arrangements with showings. Like it's all so overwhelming, but knowing that process before going into this a little bit helped a lot and having to like have that experience to relate back to like, oh, okay, like I remember when this happened to us and we had to do A, B, and C. Even now, like when people are like agents in the office are talking about their clients and selling their homes, they're like, oh my gosh, like, okay, like some of these homes are like kind of, there's a lot of junk everywhere or something. There's a lot. And I remember like when we were selling our home, like, yeah, like we really like cleared everything out. Like it was a blank slate. We had no furniture. Like it was really just like the barest of bare minimum. And, it sold quickly, which was awesome. But it was also like, wow, like these are the things that help buyers to like visualize like how they're going to get into this house. So having that perspective again, like I think that really helps. That has really helped me in my experience.
You have worked in education facilities and now real estate. What is that one thing that is common to, like all the three fields?
I think clarity for sure. Clarity builds trust a little. I think clarity builds trust faster than charisma. Like, yes, it helps to be like a very outgoing person, but providing people with clarity, I think gets them to trust you a lot quicker than being able to yap and yap about anything. With
True.
education. Yeah, right? I think with education, like I was a preschool teacher, so clarity with children is rarely a thing. But when it comes to like communicating with their parents, that really required a lot of clarity. Like, yes, like you chose to have this child, but somehow, by whatever means, I am here helping you raise your child because it does take a village. So I think like, yeah, clarity with communicating with parents, even now communicating with parents that like of the kids that I coach and like mentor, like that's a big thing. Clarity with the teenagers is a little easier.
It is easier with teenagers?
Yeah, because I feel like if you can communicate with them, like using their like
Yeah.
same, like I guess like track of mind in a way. I don't know, because sometimes it's difficult, but I think it's easier to get through to them when it's like, okay, like when you break things down in more of like a ba 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 way for them, it's like, okay, let me listen for a second and process and then do what I need to do.
How do you balance being thorough with being approachable?
I like to be like precise and then human. Like, yes, I understand that, some people operate at a more emotional level. I think I am one of those people. I am people. But when I understand that like something needs to be done, I would rather be more precise and direct. And then, in the celebration of the outcome of that, we can be a little bit more human and enjoy that. But I think that allows people to see that, okay, yes, like I'm a kind human and a great person, but along with that, you know, business is business. we have to kind of like keep a clear head on, and be precise with everything.
Yes. And what role does trust play when clients realize that you are thinking about safety and long-term impact?
Yeah, so I think trust grows when not even just like clients, but like when people see that you're moving and thinking past the transaction, It's not just again, like going back to like it's not just transactions. People are still people. I think at the end of the day, like I said before, like a lot of people have forgotten that we're really just human. We're just chilling on this big old planet. This is not a dress rehearsal. We are really just doing this every day. No script. So it's really, yeah, I think building trust with people really comes when like you see them for more than what you initially may have needed them for. Or how do I phrase that? I think for me personally, I enjoy extracting the human out of people.
Hmm.
Building that trust has to come along with actually wanting to know that person beyond the transaction and beyond closing day. You know what I mean?
So how do you do that? By asking them a lot of questions?
Yeah, I like learning about people. It's really fun. Like you'll be very surprised some days. Just like going back to like even like the vendors for Lifetime, like I will yap with those people all day long. I don't care. My team, like give me a few minutes. Like I just want to know about your life. Like what got you to this point? Like what's going on?
Yes, that is indeed very interesting to know other people, like people in front of you.
Oh, well, obviously like there's turnover at any job that you go to. So it's like, yeah, um, that'll happen. But I always like to say to people, I'm so glad like our paths crossed in this lifetime. Like I don't like we weren't meant to meet in any other setting but this one. So I'm glad that it was here and I'm glad that it was you and you do your thing.
Yeah. And how has working with vendors and teams shaped your expectations of professionalism?
I think in like the whole process of how I guess coming back and forth, especially to the club that I work at, for Lifetime, the way that we conduct ourselves as a team, I think it really matters to how the vendors see us. I remember a specific instance where one of our vendors was sitting outside and it was a hot day. It was really hot. And he's like waiting and waiting and nobody's opening the back door or like acknowledging that he's there and he's like running back and forth from the front to the back and I'm like that's a negative experience. Like nobody wants to deal with that on a hot day. They have other deliveries to do. Like in his eyes I could see like that was disrespectful of his time because it was and I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. So again, like being able to, like in that instance, it couldn't have been mitigated besides like what to do after the fact. So it's like, yeah, like, okay, like he was blocking my car in and I didn't realize until I was, leaving my shift. So I'm going to bring you a water bottle. I'm going to make sure that somebody else knows that you're here, help you get the things off the truck so that you can be on with your day. And then, I always say like you can like identify a problem over and over again, but like come up with a solution. So I think like with our vendors, it's so easy like to see like, okay, like you're driving all day, it's hot or it's cold or it's raining. It's like you're out in the elements a lot more than we are. Like, how can I make your day better? You know? And it takes nothing most times, like a granola bar or something or a water bottle. So
Well, I think some of the people in today's world have forgotten this value of caring for the other person selflessly.
yeah. But I think working with vendors, like I would expect transparency, accountability, and follow through. So I think that's pretty easy to reciprocate.
So, now moving on to the next question. What advice would you give someone entering real estate from a non salesy background?
I would say your edge is your discipline. Like what you were just saying before, like a thing that you think is probably, holding you back. It's probably just like your little superpower. Don't abandon it. Don't abandon your edge.
And how important is continuous education in a field that constantly intersects with construction, law, and safety?
The industry is always changing. I
Yeah.
think ignorance is the true like liability. My grandmother always used to say like ignorance for the law is no excuse. It's like you can't park there. I didn't know couldn't park there, but it's like you're still gonna get a ticket. So it doesn't matter. You have to know what's going on. And then like that just brings me back to like another quote that my best friend's dad always used to say. It's like, if you don't adapt, you die. So you got to adapt to what's happening and what's changing, or you're going to get left behind. You got to do your thing. You got to know stuff. And it doesn't like hurt to keep learning. Like it really doesn't. I think people forget that like, you start to lose in life the moment you choose to stop learning. And it's like, if you don't choose to keep growing as a person, you're just going to be hanging out. Like it's stagnant, and it's not helpful to be stagnant, So continuous education, improvement, and prevention. Yeah, important.
This is 100% correct. So, when do you see your career evolving within the real estate ecosystem?
I really see myself in like residential construction. That's always kind of been the thing for me. Everyone always is always like, oh, like, but commercial real estate and commercial construction, that's where the money is. And I'm like, yes, like I understand that, like I understand like again, same thing with like architecture and commercial like construction management, all that stuff. Like it's great money, it's wonderful stuff, but it's not the thing that I'm most interested in. And I think with residential, it's like I don't know, so much of people's lives happen within their homes, whether it's like an apartment, a condo, a house, like whatever it is, so much of your life happens within the confines of those walls. So it's like, I think being able to shape somebody's experience, whether it's like one of my designs or it's, my transaction, my deal, or it's my street or, anything that I've had like a little touch on, like it's just like, yay, like awesome. So yeah, definitely more like real estate, residential construction is definitely my jig.
And what do you want clients and colleagues to remember about how you work?
I want them to remember that I got things done. I want them to remember that I was a boss and I held their hand without making them feel like a dingbat, because that's hard to do sometimes.
I love this answer.
And I want them to remember that I made it fun. I think people forget to make life fun. So I'm really trying not to take life too seriously. I take myself too seriously sometimes, but life in all, I am very unserious.
Okay, so let us do a quick segment which I called Spot the Risk. I'll describe a real world scenario and I want you to tell us what risk stands out and how would you approach it. Are you ready, Monique?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So, a listing features a beautiful finished basement, but there's no mention of permits or inspections.
So, no, that's not okay.
So, you spot the risk.
Yeah, I spot the risk. There's unpermitted work. No, thank you. I had a conversation about this like a few weeks ago, actually. And the next steps would be we have to verify those permits and find where they are. And if you don't have them, because you got to flag the resale and the insurance issues as well. So, and yeah, if somebody comes in and they say, hey, there's no permits for this work, you can't, there's no CO or anything, you got to take it all out. So it's like,
Yeah,
no, not happening.
not happening. Perfect. A buyer wants to waive inspection to stay competitive in a multiple offer situation.
That's silly. That's a silly goose. There's too many there's too many unknown things in that. There's a lot of you don't even know. That's the whole thing. Like, you don't know what you don't know. You have no information to make like an actual logical decision. So that's not even a choice. That's just like I'm doing whatever to be whatever. That's a no-no for me. That's too many unknowns. You need
Yes.
to educate your buyers and make sure that they know that they need an inspection no matter what. It doesn't matter how badly you want this property. You need documentation and you need to explore any alternatives to like mending anything that comes with that inspection. But that is craziness. No, absolutely not. It's like buying a dog and not knowing what breed it is. Like, that's crazy.
Very well noted. Okay, a showing is scheduled while renovation work is still actively happening on site.
Yeah, so that's a safety thing and liability. So if it's like an active renovation and there's like actual workers on site, I would say reschedule or require some site controls. So saying to like the showing agent, like, you have to have them wearing boots or no open-toed shoes, no loose clothing. Like I wouldn't even go at that point. I'm not doing it. But it's just like, just wait. Yeah, I actually just had a property that my friends were looking at go into like a withdrawn conditionally status because the seller's contractor, they weren't finished with the work and they were supposed to have an open house. And I'm like, well, thanks for canceling it before we were supposed to go because I would not have been walking around a construction site like that. I can't, it's too cold for that. I can't. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, huge liability, not my thing.
Okay, so a contractor or vendor tells the agent, don't worry, this is how we always do it.
Oh my goodness. So this phrasing actually like grinds my gears to like the max. I actually had like one of my bosses say that to me like last year. And I said like, just because it's how you've done things doesn't make it right. Like that's complacency. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not operating at a higher standard. So I would say like, next steps would be ask for specifications, ask for permits, ask for proof. Receipts. I always say ask for the
Yeah.
receipts.
That's nice. So, a seller verbally mentions an old water issue but doesn't want it in writing.
So that's like a failure to disclose. I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah.
But don't
Yes.
quote me, I'm not a lawyer. Well, yeah, okay, cool. So I would really insist on like a written disclosure because that's sketchy. Yeah, no.
Yes. So
See, like things
you
like
will
that.
make him right.
Yeah, because things like that. Like, why are you going out of your way to inconvenience somebody else for something that you didn't want to mediate or like fix? Like, if it was an inconvenience for you, it's going to be an inconvenience for somebody else. So you're really just showing me your whole tush right now, acting like a little dingbat. No, absolutely not.
Noted. Yes, that's agreed to that. Everyone is pushing too close quickly, even though documents haven't been fully reviewed.
Yeah, no, you can't do that because that's like you're missing like that's legal stuff. That's not
Yeah.
good. And what is it? Good
So,
things take time. So you gotta wait. You gotta slow the process like intentionally so that you can make sure that all the boxes are checked and nobody's getting screwed out of it.
okay. So, an agent recommends a vendor they personally know without full disclosure about the vendor.
Okay, that's a conflict of interest. Yeah, I would disclose and also give options. Like you can't again, people can't make decisions without information. So like you can't give them limited information and then be like, "Oh, but you could have made all these decisions." But it's like, "No, you limited my information." So I had a very limited decision to make. So
Yeah.
it's just like, "No, you can't. No. No."
Noted. So a seller makes last minute cosmetic repairs to cover visible issues before listing.
Okay, that's masking like property defects, which is not cute. You have to like, obviously not only just like the inspectors, like the buyers too, like and the agent, like you need to get to investigate what's underneath that and kind of dig a little deeper. Um, yeah, you just that's no. You gotta look.
Yeah. And a first time buyer relies entirely on the agent's guidance without asking questions.
Point you shouldn't even be looking for a house because that's blind trust. You're a grown person. I no. Because like no. I no. I think that um it's really important to empower people to educate themselves.
Yeah.
Um because, as much as nobody's an island in this world, a lot of our days we're with ourselves doing what we got to do independently. Yeah, no, you can't
Yes. Okay. So this is the last question of this episode.
Yeah.
Monique, with such a diverse background, what keeps you grounded when stepping into new roles and responsibilities?
I think the one thing that keeps me grounded is that the fact that like I am making myself proud and I'm kind of just like really building a life that I want, like just doing things that actually genuinely make me happy and like make me stay curious and inspire me to want to keep learning. I think it's really easy to kind of fall into like the, "Oh, what is everybody else doing?" Like I had graduated with a girl who is also a real estate agent and she's had so many transactions. Yeah. And that's like amazing for her. Like I think that's awesome. We don't have the same life. We don't have the same circumstances, but like somehow every single time I run into somebody, it's like, well, you should go talk to so and so. And like she's done. And it's just like I don't compare myself to people like that because we're just not the same, and I wouldn't want us to be. So I think it's just really important for me personally to stay in my lane and realize like what I'm good at and where I excel and how I can use that to help other people. Because again, like real estate isn't just about like transactions. It's so much more. It's the zoning meetings and the planning board meetings and, like the networking and understanding like developers and consumers and just like even like current homeowners that are just like, I have no idea what's happening in my town. So yeah, like I said, like it takes a village to really maintain the village and make sure that the village is functioning and the village is helping other villages to function. So yeah.
Today's conversation is a reminder that real estate is not just about sales, it's about systems, safety, communication, and accountability. Monique, thank you for bringing a perspective that truly expands how we understand the real estate ecosystem. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep talking about real estate. Thank you.